What prompted Black First Land First to march to Peter Bruce's house? Why has SANEF filed an urgent court application against the BLF and its leader? Is the BLF against journalists who expose state capture and corruption? To what extent do attacks on journalists impact media freedom in the country? What time is it? It's question time. Khotsong and welcome to the show. My name is Mpotsedu. All eyes will be on the South Gauteng High Court tomorrow when it is expected to hand down its ruling on the matter brought before it by the South African Editors Forum. Earlier today, Judge Corrie van der Westhuizen announced that the ruling will be made tomorrow. SANEF filed an urgent court application against Black First, Land First, and its leader, Andile Mngxitama. Earlier in the week, the forum asked the court to interdict BLF and Andile from harassing, intimidating, assaulting, and threatening several journalists and editors for reporting on state capture. This after members of the BLF marched to the house of Tiso Black Star editor Peter Bruce last week. The BLF says while it respects freedom of expression and the independence of the media, it will not tolerate racism, fake news and corruption, amongst others. For its part, SANEF says the action by the BLF is aimed at keeping allegations regarding state capture and corruption out of the public domain. We are live, and therefore you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial 089-110-4210. Our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. My guest today, Hannes de Boysen, his Bemau spokesperson, and he's joining us from our Hatfield studios. And here in studio I have Andile Mngxitama. He's the BLF leader. But before we get into the discussion, let's have a look at what Fikile Mbalula had to say.
I'll never agree when people attack journalists in their homes. We are very soon going to arrest them. But I'll address that in a different press conference of the police, because that concerns my citizens for their right to freedom of speech. The day we allow people to march to houses of our children whilst they work in their own workplaces, that will be wrong. That is why when people were marching to the Guptas, we hit you with stun grenades, because we don't want you to do that. When people march to Solima Paila, we must hit them hard. And when they march to Peter Bruce, we must hit them hard. When you come to my house, I finish you.
Okay, that was the Minister of Police, Fikile Mbalula. And like I said, I have Hannes de Boysen from Bemau and Andile Mngxitama from BLF. Andile, welcome to the show. Hannes, welcome to Question Time. Andile, let me start with you. I would have personally expected you to be amongst the first people to stand up and defend freedom of the media.
We do.
But what you've done doesn't suggest so.
We're very explicit, and we're very determined that we support the media freedom of expression. But what we don't tolerate and won't tolerate is promoting racism and one-sided reporting which projects black people as corrupt, basically practicing a journalism that puts undercover the massive corruption of white monopoly capital. If I just to give you examples, 3 examples which happened in the past 3 weeks, for instance. DSTV came out, admitted to the Competition Commission that it's been stealing from the people 100 million rand, and it paid a fine. That was not on the front pages of any newspaper. We have seen the revelations from Treasury that an amount of 4.3 billion rand was corruptly used because it's white monopoly capital. It was not in the front pages. The public protector, by saying ABSA must pay back the money, in fact came under massive attack. That is the one thing. So white monopoly capital is okay if it steals, but if it's black people, then it's a problem. On the other hand, racism. You know, Peter Bruce calls black ministers idiots, useful idiots, fools, people who can't think. if you understand racism and how basically it's about the infantilization of black people. In other words, we black people can't think. That is why they enslaved us. This is why they colonized us. They took our land and thus apartheid. This idea that we're children. You see it being written off openly that this minister is a useful idiot. That is an idiot. The deputy minister can't think. If Peter Bruce has issues, he can write about them without appealing to the racist idiom. If he does that, he's not offending the minister, he's offending all of us black people.
Okay.
And we will certainly...
I mean, I don't know, I'm not privy to the article that you're referring to, but did Peter Bruce say black ministers are stupid?
Absolutely. It's there. I mean, you can Google it. He said, he named them. Van Rooyen, the former Minister of Finance who left quickly, he said he was a useful idiot. And then he says Gigaba is now a useful idiot. And then he says Gigaba's deputy is also not a bright fellow, in other words, a dim-witted chap. He can criticize their decisions, but to impute cognitive incapacity.
No, but Andile, wait. Are you saying Peter Bruce said black ministers are useless or are stupid?
Absolutely.
And then their white counterparts are okay?
Well, that's an interesting thing. He doesn't have to say that. It is implied, it is understood. Because remember, when we talk about racism, we must put it in context. The context is a historical one. White is right, white is might, white is smart. That is what racism says. Black is stupid, black is infantile, black is incapacitated. So when you simply reproduce that, black ministers, you don't say, you could even say perhaps, because of their own interest, they are corrupt, but to impute cognitive incapacity, it is to plug into this whole Western notion of black people as children, black people as stupid, black people that can't think. And therefore, actually, if you link that to the fact that this whole reportage is about projecting black people as corrupt, you can see this is systematic and constant projection of black people in this negative way, which is racist. And we as Black First Land First, we're an anti-racist organization. We are not going to allow that. And by the way, you can practice journalism, but you have no right to practice racism. There is no way in law in South Africa where it says you can practice racism. Okay, let me bring in Hannes.
Hannes, your reaction to what Andile has just said?
Well, I think, first of all, I think we're in agreement that we need to get rid of racism and all of the issues that he has mentioned. But I don't think that intimidating journalists by picket at their houses would get those results. I think there are forums, specific media forums that one can file complaints. There are courts that one can file racism complaints, which will be investigated. So yeah, I think we're in agreement, but the method that they're using, we're in disagreement with that.
Yeah, what makes it different, really, between you and other thugs who pounce on people's homes uninvited to wage?
We will certainly warn you that we come into your house, and we did. And we said to Peter Bruce, we don't want this kind of... But let me just say, something that we as a nation, if we were to try to be fair, the standard of what is acceptable protest was not set by us, was set by the DA, and was set by a movement called Save South Africa. These are the people who went, for instance, to Sex and World, to a family household, and protested. And it was perfectly okay. So it's okay to protest at the house and the church of the Gupta family, but it's not okay to do so at the house of Peter Bruce. If it is right to do it at the Gupta family, as we saw it, we say, okay, then in South Africa today, it is acceptable to actually protest at the houses of people you disagree with. If we were consistent, then we should have said, no protest at anybody's house, and then we have set a better standard.
Mutaung, you are in Free State, welcome. Okay, Mutaung is gone. 089-110-4210 is the number you can dial. Let's hear what you have to say about this matter, which the BLF has really I don't even know how to describe it, but today you are chickening out in court. You're now saying, no, our Twitter handle was hacked, we didn't say this and all that. Cowards!
No, strategic. But let me just say, no, the SANEF, by the way, let me explain that. SANEF is run by black people. Mahlaji Gallens is a black sister, and we want to make it absolutely clear. Even when we disagree, we believe some of these journalists are what we call askaris. In other words, they are part of the problem. We have not made any undertaking and will not protest against any black journalist.
So you are a racist organization?
We are a pro-black organization, and we understand that black journalists in this country are captured because they work for white monopoly capital. The chairperson of SANEF
but
works
you
for Media
are said
24.
to be also captured by the Guptas yourself, the whole organization.
Well, by the way, let me just say, I want to write an open letter to Atul Gupta. I think that's the more famous brother of the Guptas. I want to ask money from him very openly because
okay, hold
I mean,
it there.
there's
But
no point
they've given you money, so
no,
we don't have to now ask for it discreetly.
Not yet.
Let's go to Tembisa. Is it Ike? Isaac, welcome.
No, boring.
Rioner Butsange.
Yeah, I just want to ask you one letter. What was Zulma Paila did when you go to boycotting his was? Because Zulma Paila is black. What did he do wrong?
Okay, did the BLF support Mapaila's occupation?
No, we condemned it, by the way. No, we will not picket at any black person's house. We will not even have any protest against any black journalist. We must reiterate this.
Now, how do you expect Hannes here, and I want to bring him into the discussion here, how do you expect Hannes to defend me if I'm a member of Bemau?
Do you believe a white man can defend you? Then you don't know what's happened in the past 350 years. Then you don't know what has happened in the past 500 years. Do you really believe any white men can defend black interests? If they did, they would have given us back our land. They would have said they're sorry about apartheid. They have not said so. They have not given back our land. They continue to enjoy the benefits of oppressing us. And you want to put your faith in such a person. You are very brave, my brother. Or you very, shall we say, not so smart.
But, Andile, what happened to you?
I've always been black consciousness. Biko chased them out from SASO and had the blacks only organization because he understood every single white person in this country is a beneficiary of colonialism, apartheid, and land dispossession. The shocking thing is this: why has white people not actually come out and said we are sorry about what we have done? But not only that, let us share the wealth that we stole from you.
Hannes, Peter Bruce, Sam Soul, Andren Basson, Stephen Crotes, Max Dupree, Barry Bateman, Alec Hogg. These are the targeted journalists who are on the BLF radar. Okay, Hannes still...
Yeah, I think Andile...
Yeah, go ahead,
if I may, you know, Bemau at this point in time has got about 80% black membership. I'm every day or every second day almost am I either at the CCMA or in the Labour Court representing black people. So you're totally wrong if you say that white people cannot represent black people. I think that's a fallacy, and I think you might be stuck a bit in the past when you say that. There's absolutely no difference in colour or race, in particular in a trade union, when we represent people.
Okay, let's go to Eastern Cape. Gift, welcome.
Hey, Mpo, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for the call, Puti.
Thanks, Mpo. Hey, I'm glad that you have I'm glad that you have this man in your studio. Actually, this is a public broadcaster. This is not a computer channel where they give him a lot of airtime. Listen, Mpo, you know what? I'm a black South African.
Yes.
We are blacks. You understand?
Yes.
Not this 0.1% of first land black. You see this guy that we have in the studio. Let's call spade by spade. This guy is a thug. When you collect a group of people, you go and pick it outside of the house households. You write in the garage door, land of debt. We are black people. We don't support this guy. This guy is a thug. You understand? We support black journalists, white, Indian, and what? You understand? This guy is associating himself with ANC. ANC, they are distancing themselves to this guy.
No,
This guy.
they are not even saying they are aligning themselves with the ANC. They align themselves with President Zuma.
No, man. This guy, he's in payroll. He is in payroll of Gupta. This guy is promoting an anarchy in this country. He went to parliament. They chase him away in parliament. He wants to beat people in parliament. This guy is a thug. I'm a black South African. You understand? They are less than 20. Why black people they don't support this guy? This Andile Mngxitama guy is dividing the country. We are not supporting white people. Yes,
Okay.
we admit. There is a white monopoly capital.
Okay.
This guy is a thug.
Thanks. You've made your point, but I think you're stretching it a bit when you say they're dividing South Africa. I don't think they have the capacity. I mean, there's a handful of a few friends and colleagues.
That is why today we have two matters. First, it is the SANEF. I'm just from a high court now, ABSA. So this big, SANEF brought about 450 lawyers to basically, because that's the Weber Wenzel's capacity, and also ABSA. So it's very interesting that this small organization called BLF, with 20 members, as you say, is terrifying white monopoly capital in the manner that it does. We are going to insist. South Africa is a country of black people. And we also understand those who control the means of production also control the thought process. So like a brother who calls like that, he is caught up in the thought processes of those who own the means of production. It's identity crisis. Just like, we said about Karima Brown and Ferel Hafeji and our brother Usibes Makeza. We said the problem with you is that you are trapped in the apartheid hierarchy, which put white people, Indian, colors, and blacks at the bottom. You have not yet figured out that you are part of the black community, but we accept you as black. And as a result of that, your dealings with white people against us will never instigate us to go against you, because we see what is happening. The white system is trying to create a black on black violence. We are today confronted by Mahlati Gallants. She does not own Naspers. She just works for Media 24. But they're using her to attack an organization that says, wait, racism must not be tolerated. Which black person in their right mind says racism is okay, it's journalism? It shows the extent of psychological damage that has happened to our people. But I'm very glad to say a lot of young people and also a lot of older people are seeing the light. The idea that we are 20 people is going to surprise very many people.
Okay, Hannes, it is 2017 July. I would expect that as media practitioners, we should be able to exercise our skills in this trade without the baggage of racism, but not, of course, not being naive to the realities that South Africa comes from. I do not know how relevant is race in the expression of our talent and skill in the media space.
Well, I think I can safely say that most media organizations are owned or at least managed by black people. And, if what Andile says are really happening, then we are looking for the problem at the wrong place. What I need to say is that I think once we attack our journalists, then we are attacking democracy in our country. We cannot have a proper democracy if we do not have a free press and a free media. And by trying to intimidate journalists not to write about certain things, it's wrong. It's straight wrong. And if any of our members are affected by this, then we will also take the legal route, and we will pursue the police to protect those journalists' rights. As I've said earlier, there are proper legal forums where these things can be raised. And yes, we are against any racism, particularly in the media, but not only there, but racism in general.
Okay.
So one should follow those specific routes then. And then if, for instance, the chairperson of SANEF is working for Media 24, Peter Bruce, for instance, why do you want to go and stand at his house? Why don't you then go to the organization that he works for? Because if journalists are controlled by organizations, as Andile has said, then clearly you then have to go to those organizations and not to the individual journalists.
Okay, hold it there. Francois, you are in the Eastern Cape. Welcome.
Thank you, Paul, and good evening to you. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks for the call, Francois.
Very well, very well. And Paul?
Yes.
First up, I think Julius has done a great job to get rid of Andile. Andile is a man with a spirit. He's a master of confusion, a master of deception, and I don't think he'll get far. He's got a verbal diarrhea, and he thinks what he's doing is okay. You know, in the past, we come from a dark era, hard time. Everybody experienced a lot. And he was also mentioning the coloreds and Indians and whites and all that. And he said the blacks were right, down there. But he is not someone who's trying to have that spirit of reconciliation. He is dividing the country. You can see him. And what he is doing right now, he's creating an anarchy that will bring the country down.
No,
and he's promoting one, sector of the nation.
Francois.
And that is it. We used to hear about, white, only white that, and now he say black, and all that. And you forget that there are other races as well. There are colors as well. And you have to embrace everybody.
Francois.
He got to reconcile and say, man, we are all South Africans and we should actually love each other, work together to make our country work.
Okay, Francois, thanks very much for that call. Andile, tell me, are you aware that what you're doing is illegal, or are you waiting for the judge to tell you tomorrow?
No, we're not doing anything illegal.
Because you don't even have confidence in that process that you are participating.
No, well, it's a very interesting one. Generally, an urgent application such as that, the judge would announce their judgment on the spot. The arguments that we provided today were very sound, with the consequences that the judge has actually had to go out to apply his mind. So we think this case can go either way. And even if it doesn't, we believe that our moral position is absolutely correct. Racism will not be tolerated. And if we do tolerate racism, we would certainly be a people that doesn't want progress. In fact, Francois must be told, if he is colored, so-called colored, that we accept so-colored people and so-called Indian people as black. However, we know that amongst them, they don't want to identify themselves as black or as Africans. But that is their problem. For us, the door remains open. Okay. As far as Francois, as far as the white man is concerned, you can't talk about racism and not talking about retaining land. When is he retaining our land, or his brothers, or his family?
Andile, if you are so concerned about the wrong things that are happening in this country, there are these Gupta email leaks which are indicating a lot of rot in the systems. Why have you been quiet?
No, there's one or two emails which are apparently sent by me, which is not true. So the problem with these emails is that they are manufactured. This is the same problem of manufacturing news, fake news, to protect white monopoly capital. We don't talk about the billions of rand that leave this country every single day stolen by white people. This is the problem that we have.
Now, you are aware that you are denying that the emails were sent by you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is something that you are willing to stand by?
Of course, absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
But let us deal with the substance of the matter. Is the substance of the matter that I'm looking for money from the Guptas? Well, yes, I am. And if they have money for me, I'll be very happy to have that money, because I have a serious war to undertake against white monopoly capital, against those who stole our land.
I can tell you, I know that they paid for your rally in Soweto. So
that's not true. That's absolutely a lie. That's 100% lie.
Okay.
I mean, but we want their money. So I'm going to write to them and say, I want to sit down with the Guptas. They are not my enemy. The Guptas not kill our people in Marikana.
Yes.
The Guptas not stole my land. Those who have stolen my land and those who have killed our people in Marikana are not part of this conversation. I want to organize a movement that's going to return our land, our minds from white people. The Guptas are small fry. They are nothing. We can deal with them immediately. But the real problem, the Johan Ruperts, the Oppenheimers, they have our wealth. And we as black people in this country, we don't understand that we are involved in a war. That is why we as BLF support President Zuma. And the ANC is so terrified of white people. It's shocking, actually. Look at 6 days of conversation. You come out, you're mumbling about whether white monopoly capital exists or not. Instead of supporting President Zuma, saying land expropriation without compensation, have a black bank immediately. Those things are possible. Nationalize the Reserve Bank. If we stop mumbling and we have confidence in ourselves, we'll get the country back. But me and you now, right now, we are visitors in this country. We have got nothing.
Well, it's time up, unfortunately. But Hannes, thank you very much for your time. Andile, thank you. I hope you will find it in yourself to really allow journalists to practice their trade, even if you don't agree with
Journalists must practice. Racists will not be allowed.
And indeed, as we close our show today, we pay tribute to our colleagues Zama Mbalo and Suna Venter, who passed on in the past week. May their souls rest in peace as our colleagues indeed. That was Question Time for today. A big thank you to my guests and to you for watching at home. From me and the entire crew, there we go.